is yours.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can you hear us? Okay. Well, thank you, Anna, well, we appreciate the invitation that you does. So my name is Gerardo, and with me is Rafa. We both are from Costa Rica. We are, well, this is the first time that we're speaking our language that is not ours, but yes. We are from Costa Rica. We are representing back, and we are going to talk how process mining helps us to improve the data-driven culture.
Sorry, it's not working.
I think that we don't have, okay. About BAC. BAC is the largest bank in Central America with more than 70 years of history, around 19,000 employees, and more or less than 5 million of customers. Our values are passion, integrity, and excellence. And here in excellence is when we thought that process mining fit perfect. What was our starting point in this journey? As a bank, we have different types of products, but we decide to start analyze the most basic product that we have, that is the process of open the bank account. Nowadays, we have, well, most of the processes are automatic. However, in this process, we have like a 5% that today is manual. If we have to talk about, or in simple terms, if we have to talk about this process, looks similar to this. We have a customer application, then we have to validate all the documentation, then we make a profile analysis, and if everything is okay, we are allowed to open the account. I don't know what is going, but
I don't know.
We have like an issue there.
This is not the slide that it comes, but
okay.
Well, it's technical. Well, hello. We brought well, it's not here, but the purpose of our talk is to tell you how process mining help us take better decisions to improve our customer service and cutting in half the throughput time that we had. And we have a comparison between the before and after, but I don't know why it's not appearing right here. But the result of our project was that, as I said, we reduced the throughput time by 53%. We reduced by 69% the reprocessing our process, and this combined increased the closing rate in 41% and generated more than $4 million in demand deposits in the last 6 months. Oh, well, here it is, the comparison. So to tell about this comparison, this is the before and after our project. And we use the synchronized case start feature in Disco. And what this feature does is that all the cases in the animation start at the same time. So it's kind of like a race. So you can see which of the process is faster, and also you can see where in the process the cases that took the longest are staying. And I don't know if you can see it or notice is that we didn't make a big modification in the process. What we did was change the way we approach our decisions.
So at the moment, we told you the results of what we did, but we want to take you some steps back and tell you where our journey began. So the first thing that we did is we create a workshop. In that workshop, we put all the stakeholders in the same place. We have the business units, also the IT department, the operation department, and also the strategy. This last one department, strategy, is where Rafa and I used to work. And in that moment, we were considered like an outsider. But that could be seen a disadvantage, but at the end was the opposite, because we have like a fresh eye to look with a different perspective the situation. So once we were there in the same table, we found that no one spoke the same language. We have some areas measure their performance using the processes case in a defined period of time, and others use the service level. And not only that, we found that we have difference in the unit that we use between work days and calendar days.
But the main thing that we find was that all the areas were focusing the efforts in meeting their individual KPIs. And when we checked them, they were fine. But also we questioned how was the customer experience. And we thought that the customer experience that we were having didn't reflect the efforts that the areas were doing. So we analyzed the process and looked for those stages in which where we were spending most of our time, and found that defects and waiting was the main causes for our bottlenecks. And digging a little deeper, we found that customers were sending the wrong documentation or documentation with missing information. And we have to ask for the documentation again and enter in a waiting stage at the hands of the customer. So, sorry, yeah. But this led us to question how the complexity of the documents that we were requesting and how accessible for the customer was to send us the information. And also, we found out with meeting with the areas that we were doing the same control in different parts of the process. So we were, and this control was being made by different areas. So we were incurring in a little bit of overprocessing. And once we sat with the areas and discuss these insights, as Herrera said, we were considered an outsider. So at first they were very hesitant and questioned all the data that we provide. But once they checked that the data was right, we earned their trust and compromise. And with this, we established what would be the language that we're going to be using from then on, and start to work thinking in the customer experience to solve these problems. So the first thing that we did was to gather all the information from all the systems, from all the areas, and from all the segments in the same place, so that we could see it at any time. And also, we scheduled a weekly meeting to talk about the progress of our initiatives and also to exchange good practices with one another. And this improved by a lot the accountability for all the areas.
So, as we mentioned before, we was in the same table working as a multi-dynamic team, and in that team we defined what could be the best solution for each issue that we have at that moment. For example, for defect, we found that a DMIC project could be the best way to try the reprocessing. Why? Because we can launch different projects at the same time, trying to find the root cause of each issue and trying to improve the reprocessing rate that we have. In the case of waiting, we found that the best solution was create a better platform for the client with clear instruction where they can give us all the information. And in case of the overprocessing, with all the area responsible for the control, we agreed where in the process was the best place for each control and who will be the unique responsible for each one. So at the moment we mentioned our journey, what were our actions, but what was the key under our job. All the action that we mentioned before, the IT solutions, the DMIC projects, decentralization, and the overprocessing were preceded for correct data wrangling and correct analysis, process mining analysis that help us to define these solutions and gave us this result that we mentioned. We could reduce the throughput times, we reduce the reprocessing, also we improve the closing rate, and we get this $4 million in the last 6 months. But one thing that we didn't mention before is all this effort began with the effort of one person doing a process mining analysis, and this effort was so powerful that moved all the organization with him, and nowadays we are thinking in scale up this effort in 3 processes at the same time, and we are excited about all the things that could come with this effort, and all the things that, all the improvements that we can have with all the support of our directors too.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Do you have questions for Gerardo and Rafael? We will get a microphone to you. So I'm also curious, you mentioned that you have these weekly meetings with the people from these different areas. I'm also curious if that's a practice from anyone in the audience, but let's also see, is there someone who has a question?
No?
Oh,
yeah.
Yep. So the microphone is coming.
Thank you. You said you started with the opening a bank account as the process you first looked at. Is that because you expected there were some inefficiencies there, or you put the data in, you started looking, and you noticed that was...
No, as a strategic, the bank said that we have to improve our demand deposits, so that's why we choose open accounts.
Thank you.
Other?
Is there another question?
One more question there.
Hello. Which, let's say, department or function was the main driver for this? Was it an IT project, a quality project? Who was in your organization? Who was the driver for this improvement project?
Me. So I was introduced to process mining like in 2022, I think. So at the end of my master's degree, I tried to improve to get with me the process mining in my field. So I introduced process mining to my company, and that's it.
And technically, you showed the slide. You were in strategy, right? You highlighted strategy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know if there is another question.
No, I think let's close. Let's thank you again and
Thank you.
ask the next
Thank you.
speaker.